Yes, that's true, but that's only the half of it. Sorry, I was a bit tricky there in hopes that you couldn't figure out which to choose from. But yes, the authors had to cut off the tails of some and glue that bit back on, and for the other control, they also had to leave some individuals with the same tail length. They had to do both of these manipulations because if they didn't, they could never with 100% certainty say that it was the longer tail and not the fact that the bird was manipulated that had the effect on the experiment. Does that make sense? To say it in another way, if the longer-tailed male had greater fitness, the researchers could never be sure it was the longer tail and not just the fact that they were held and manipulated by researchers that had that effect. So to separate those two things, they had to manipulate some individuals but leave them with the tail of the same length. It's always important to think about your controls when you do a study like this. So let's get back to this study right here. And now that we have our 4 experimental treatments, if we take a look at the results, we see that males with an artificially longer tail had greater fitness, measured as the number of females they mated with. Males with a normal sized tail had a lower fitness, but it didn't matter whether they were never manipulated or cut and glued back on. And the males with the artificially shortened tails, well, they had the lowest fitness. Poor guys. So this is why you're probably asking yourself, well, if longer tails are so good, meaning there's strong directional selection for longer tails, why don't males keep evolving even longer and longer tails? It's a good question. Well, that's where natural selection comes back into play. So have a think about the direction that natural selection is moving in, and that will help you understand why the tails of long-tailed widow birds don't get infinitely long. I'd also like to think about what these long tails could be signaling to females. But after showing these 2 examples, do you think that sexual selection is something that only shapes males and that females are only affected by natural selection?